Hey guys, Box90 here with another EDH deck tech. This one is Thraximundar. So I decided I wanted to make an EDH deck that did not have green in it. Because my other decks had green. You guys look at my other decks I have up, they all have green in them. Thraximundar does not. So I thought I'd try something different. Thraxes is a really cool color combination. It's blue, black, red, which allows for a lot of destruction, counter magic, aggression. And that's what Thraximundar imbibes within him, because he is that awesome. So I picked Thraximundar because he is 1, flavorful, 2, more flavorful, 3, very powerful Voltron, and 4, I don't know what 4 is. 4 wins games, I'll say. He wins games because he is just so awesome. 7 for a 6/6 legendary creature zombie assassin. Haste. Whenever he attacks, defending player sacks a creature. Whenever player sacks a creature, you put a 1/1 counter on him. So he makes himself stronger. He can attack first turn right away. He makes your opponent lose creatures, so he's considerable card advantage all the time. And he clears the way for himself to get through and attack opponents directly. So he's pretty powerful, Voltron. Of course, this makes a problem for him because everyone wants to get rid of him. So because of that, I did not have this deck as a Voltron deck. This deck is a balanced synergistic deck. There's no crazy combos that are infinite, none of that sort of stuff. It's mostly just good synergy, and it works with him. The deck itself is not done. It's still in progress. It can be used in 1v1. Obviously, you'll see it's a little better in a small multiplayer match. So it's for 3-4-way games. And let's get to it. Okay, so because Thraximundar is still a pretty powerful card, obviously I want to be able to use him, and since most people try to tuck him away or deal with him, so we have Lightning Greaves to give him and my other big creatures protection. We have Savage Beating to make him a potential kill, and to make other creature attacks a potential kill, and it can give an additional combat phase, which in his case makes them lose more creatures, because he attacks, they lose a creature automatically by sacrifice, and then they have to block him. And you do it twice, 2 creatures down. Pretty awesome. Savage Beating is crazy. World at War is 2 turns, 2 combat phases. And Hellkite Charger as well, because Hellkite Charger is a strong creature on its own, and it is by choice you can get an additional combat phase. So that's pretty good. In terms of the land base, let's move through this pretty quickly. You'll probably recognize a lot of stuff. Strip Mine gets rid of lands. Temple of the False Gods is a 2-up ramp. Reliquary Tower, there's a good amount of draw spells and draw engines in the deck, so having infinite hand size is always nice. Command Tower is obvious. For the basic lands, I also just want to say I would put Cavern of Souls in here, but I have yet to get it. I'm hoping to trade for it soon. Cavern of Souls is a way to make Thraximundar uncounterable. You can just name Zombie Thraximundar, guaranteed to hit play, hopefully, and it's a definite card to include in this deck. So let's see, we got some basics. We got 1, 2, 3 mountains. 1, 2, that's actually a foil John Avon, which is pretty cool. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 swamps. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 islands. That's basic base. Then we got Tainteds. So we got the black-red and the black-blue Tainted Isle, Tainted Peak. Izzet Gilgate is standing in for Sulphur Falls, which I also need, so if someone has one and want to trade it to me, I'd appreciate it. But obviously that will be a quick switch out. Dragon Skull Summit as core lands. We got Dragon Skull Summit and Drowned Catacomb as the other 2 core lands. We got Filters, Graven Cairns, Cascade Bluffs, and Sunken Ruins. Then we got some Shocks, the original Watery Grave, Blood Crypt, Steam Vents. I actually prefer the old Blood Crypt art, but I don't have it. And then we got some Fetches, Scalding Tarn, Misty Rainforest, Verdant Catacombs, Wooded Foothills for mountains, obviously, not for forests, Bloodstained Mire, and Polluted Delta. 34 lands total, and let's get on to the rest of the deck. So we got Soul Ring, ramp up. If you're playing 1v1, I would recommend you guys not run this in 1v1, but as this is generally multiplayer, Soul Ring is fine. We got some ramp stuff, Dimir Signet, Recto Signet, Is It Signet, all good choices. We got a Darksteel Ingot, which indestructible, lets you get any color. Solemn gives you the land and lets you draw a card. Can't trip it over, pretty awesome. In terms of tutoring slash fixing, we have Sensei's Divining Top, which is, everyone knows is great. Expedition Map, just zoom in a little bit. Expedition Map, which tutors up a land of any choice. That's pretty good. We got Merchant Scroll, which tutors for an instant or interrupt. Generally, this is used to get a counter spell. Demonic Tutor, this is the dual deck ones. I really like the art, and Demonic Tutor is always good. Trinket Mage gets Soul Ring, top, and we'll get to the other options shortly, but it's a good solid tutor. Bribery is a tutor for their deck. You steal a creature from them, and you can take anything. So, of course, things like Eldrazi, Blightsteel Colossus, powerful utility cards, etc. Increasing Ambition. I like this card even though it's a 5-cost tutor because it has a flashback option. Runescar Demon. Shiny is the demonic tutor on a stick, and he's a pretty strong body included. Then we got Nile Spellbomb, another Trinket Mage tutor. Exiles an opponent's graveyard, lets you try and cantrip for 1 to get cards. Then you have Terminate, good spot removal. Dreadbore, mostly for Planeswalker kills, but it's solid anyway. Capsize, you can reuse it over and over, and bounces permanent. So if you're playing 1v1 particularly, it's a good way to just, if you don't have a lot to do, you're waiting for Thraximundar for a couple turns, you just prevent them from doing anything. Chaos Warp is a good top to Ash, as you all know. 2 creatures down. Then we got, can you guys see? Yeah, Grixis Charm. I use it mostly for the return target permanent to its owner's hand, because you can put a general back in their hand. You can kill a general or kill any creature for 4/4, and the 2/0 can get that final couple points commander damage from Thraximundar, so it's good. I would also probably use Crosis Charm, but I don't have one yet. Then we have a Wrecking Ball, which destroys a land or a creature, so it's a nice option for 4. Rakdos' Return is not really spot removal, but it can deal damage to an opponent, so if you have a lot of mana later, you can pump it into that. It also makes them discard their hand, so in 1v1, you can take down their hand, hopefully entirely, or take a big chunk of it out, and make them lose their hand advantage. It also can be used against a player you don't like, and of course, then they have to suffer painfully. Then we have Devil's Play. There are a couple of options, but I like the flashback. In terms of Wraths, we have Cyclonic Rift. This card is ridiculous, and it works amazingly well to clear the field. Black Sun Zenith, obviously, does what it does. Living Death is really good, and this deck has a bunch of big creatures you like to bring back, and given you can put your own creatures in your graveyard, or discard if you draw too many cards, Living Death is fantastic. Cruel Ultimatum, it's not really a Wrath, but it's pretty crazy, and you can always copy it and do it to multiple players at once. So it's just a super powerful spell. Decree of Pain, Wrath that lets you draw cards, and the cycling. Ancestral Vision, I like, even though it has the suspend, I like that since it's suspended, you can potentially copy it to draw even more cards, and it's just a nice card to land. You set it up. It's 1 mana. You have to wait a couple turns for it, but if you get it early, then you get the cards later when you actually have played stuff and you need to put more cards in your hand, or you can just have it sitting there and wait for it to come out into play, hopefully copy, and then it's, let's say if you use Reverberate, you copy it when it hits play on turn 8, 9, 10, you draw 6 cards for 3, so always a good option. Careful Consideration lets you discard big fatties to get them back into play, and it lets you draw a huge number of cards for its cost. Fact or Fiction, another card that is, along with Careful Consideration, that's instant speed card draw, and it is obvious why it's good. Tidings I like because it doesn't target, it's just draw 4 cards, so someone can't retarget it away from you. Rhystic Study is a draw engine. Phyrexian Arena, engine every turn. Arcanus the Omnipotent, I mean, as long as he sticks around, you will win the game, just raw card advantage. And of course he protects himself, which is a nice bonus. Sphinx is good in any deck that can run it. Pact of Negation is counterspell. it's a really good counter spell. It's usually the one I grab with Merchant Scroll if I get Merchant Scroll later in the game rather than early, because it's, when you're tapped out, prevent them from stopping you from Thraximundar is really good. Dissipate, exiles, hinder for generals and for really annoying cards you don't want them to reuse from their graveyard. Cryptic Command is a versatile, amazing counterspell, so run that too. Glenalendra is counterspells on a stick. Animate Dead is the graveyard stuff. You can put one of your creatures or put one of their creatures into play under your control. It's a nice card to use. Necromancy I like as well, because you can use it as an instant. So if they attack with something really big and scary and they have a creature, or you have a creature in the graveyard, you need instant speed, it lets you do that. It also lets you just act as an Animate Dead with no drawback. So it's a underutilized card and it's really good. Beacon of Unrest, artifact or creature card from a graveyard to play. It lets you reuse itself over and over. You see it a lot in Grixis decks. Shield Dread is mostly to make them lose creatures, but you can also bring back your creatures from the grave, which is good. Reverberate, I already said, one of the things that can be done, but of course you can just copy their spells or your own spells, such as some of the extra turn spells. It gives you that extra advantage. And Reverberate, for their stuff, you can take some crazy spells and use them too. I would also use Reiterate, because that has buyback, but I don't have it yet. Just saying it's an option. Dimir Doppelganger lets you get rid of a creature from their graveyard, or any graveyard, but usually from their graveyard, that it then becomes a copy of. So it's a very powerful copying creature, utility. Mimic Vet lets you reuse stuff. Phyrexian Metamorph, copying effect. Rite of Replication is also another way to kill their generals or legendaries, and or a win condition. If you get off its ultimate, then and they can't stop you, you basically win the game, because you just do a big creature and you win. Then we got Spell Twine. I mentioned it when the set came out, M13. I was like, there's only so many good EDH cards, but Spell Twine is an unknown. And let me just say, I have yet to regret this card. I've reused Bribery and then taken one of their major draw spells. I've done Wraths plus card advantage. I've done so many combinations. For 6 mana, it almost always pays for itself like crazy. Time Warp is a take an extra turn effect. You know, potentially win the game with Thraximundar. Time Stretch, you get 2 extra turns, even better. In copying this spell. Mind-boggling. And then, of course, Planeswalker Package are really powerful in EDH. They are in my opinion, the hardest permanent type to deal with in the game. So, Liliana the Veil is the discard effect. It doesn't really matter, but you can discard a fatty. The -2 is kind of the big deal, and then the -6, of course, you basically kill a player. Liliana the Dark Realms, a land drop every turn. You can get your shocks and or basics, and of course her -3 can make you win the game potentially with Thraximundar and or another big creature. And her -6, even though this deck is 3 color, her -6 is pretty much absurd amount of mana. So that's crazy. Chandra the Firebrand, her +1 stinks, but her -2 is another copy effect, and it can be on some of the big spells, so it's phenomenal. And then -6 is another potential win con, but it's also really good against decks that have lots of creatures. Jace the Mind Sculptor, everyone knows why he's good. He's not the best Planeswalker, but he's one of the best. Nicol Bolas from the dual decks. You guys can't really see what he does, but his +3, I like that it's very versatile, destroy permanents. The -2 is kind of deals with the fact that it doesn't hit creatures by taking their creatures. And the -9 is another essentially ultimatum that makes you win, another ultimatum effect. And then some random cards just chucked in because I haven't finished the deck and they're kind of funny. I put in Havoc Festival because, you know, you stop my Thraximundar, well, let's make the game wind down a little faster. It's kind of a fun, weird card. And then Kokusho, Evening Star, because you got a lot of recurring stuff from the graveyard, so Kokusho lets you just drain life, and in multiplayer games, pretty good. And now you can use Kokusho in decks, so that's pretty cool too. So anyway, that is Thraximundar. I hope this video was a little quicker than some of my others. He's a beast. It's not complete. Please leave comments below if you have any recommendations or asking what or why I chose certain cards. Please let me know. please recommend, and I'll hopefully put up a finalized version. Anyway, guys, thanks for watching. Please check out my channel sponsors also below in the description. As always, Roxbox90 signing out. See you guys next time.